Alright guys, I'm going to go over how to solve the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. If you know how to solve a 3x3, then you also know how to solve a 2x2. The only tricky part is figuring out how the 3x3 relates to the 2x2. So a 2x2 is basically a 3x3 without the edge pieces. So in a 3x3, there would be edge pieces that go in between these two corner pieces. But you don't have that in a 2x2. So you solve the 2x2 the exact same way you would solve a 3x3, except you skip the steps that involve solving edge pieces. Also, there are many different ways of solving the 3x3 and the 2x2, but the method that I'll be going over is the foundational method for the CFOP, speed cubing method. So if you learn this method, then it's easier to transition into speed cubing once you get to that point. Alright, so I have my cube scrambled, and the first step is solving the first layer. So the final product will be on the screen. So when you're solving this 2x2, you'll notice that there's no center pieces. So that means we have to determine which color each side is. So to do that, we're going to pick a color to start solving first. So I'm going to pick white. And we'll locate a white piece and put that piece face down. So we're going to locate this piece and we're going to place that face down. So this layer is going to be the white layer with the white face on this side. So once we have our piece that's face down, we're going to look in the top layer for another piece. So we found another piece here. And then the first thing we do is look at the two colors other than white. So we have green and orange. So then once we do that, we look at our original piece. We'll notice that there's orange on this piece and orange on this piece. So that means we need to put this piece next to this piece on this side because they both have orange, so this piece has to go next to orange to make that block of orange colors. So we're going to move this top layer until this piece is above the slot that it needs to go. Once we do that, we hold this piece in our right hand, and then we do this set of moves. R, U, R prime, U prime. And we keep doing that set of moves until this piece is in the right place. So now it's down here, but we need this white to be face down and this orange to be touching orange. So we'll go and do it again. And it's up here, so we're going to do it again. And now it's solved. So now we have this block. So now we've solved this piece and we go back up to the top layer and look for another piece. So this piece is in the top layer. Then we look at the other colors, green and red. And we'll notice that this piece has green. So that means this piece has to go right next to this piece. So this piece is already above the slot that it needs to go. So we're going to hold it in our right hand and do the same set of moves. U, R prime, U prime. And now it's solved. And then we go back up to the top layer. And we'll find that there's no pieces in the top layer with white. So if there's no pieces in the top layer with white, that means that the piece is in the bottom layer. And when the piece is in the bottom layer, we need to take it out of the bottom layer and put it to the top. So we'll hold it in our right, the piece that we need in our right hand, and we just do the exact same moves and it'll bring it up to the top. So R, U, R prime, U prime. Now it's in the top. And it's above the slot that we need. So we're just going to do the exact same moves again. R, U, R prime, U prime. And now the whole first layer is solved. Alright, so now we have to start by finishing the top layer. And to do that, just like we did for the 3x3, we're going to solve the top yellow first. So the end product will be on the screen. So if you watch my 3x3 tutorial video, the first step in OLL is solving the yellow cross, but we don't have the yellow cross, so we go straight to solving the corner pieces. When we're solving the corner pieces, we can be presented with a bunch of different scenarios. But for all the scenarios, we could solve them using only one algorithm. But we just had to perform that algorithm in a certain orientation of the pieces. So the first algorithm that we went over in my 3x3 tutorial video was the fish case. But in the fish case, if you looked at the pieces, only one yellow piece was faced up. The rest was just the cross. So we had the cross plus one yellow piece. So essentially, this is the exact same case as the fish case. So with the fish case, we took the solved yellow and we put that in the bottom left corner. So whenever we're presented with one solved piece on the 2x2, we put that in the bottom left corner, and then we do this algorithm, and it goes like this: R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And then it solves the top. Now we may be presented with a case where we have two solved yellow pieces and they are opposite each other. What we do for this case is we look at the unsolved pieces and we hold the cube in a way that there is a yellow unsolved piece on our right side. So this would be wrong. We would not want to hold it like this. So we keep rotating the cube until we get to this point where there's an unsolved piece on our right and facing us. Once we get there, we do the same algorithm as before. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And now we look back up at the top and we see we're presented with a different case. This case has two solved yellow pieces, but these pieces are adjacent to each other now. And so we do the exact same. We look for unsolved pieces. We set it up to where there's an unsolved yellow piece facing us on our right side. So we're already there, and we do the algorithm again. Now we're presented with that same case as before. So we hold it in our bottom left, and then we do the same algorithm. Same case again, move it to the bottom left and perform it again. And now we're done. So we may be presented with a case where we have two solved pieces and they are adjacent to each other, but when we look here, we don't have two solved pieces facing, or two unsolved pieces facing us. So in this case, we have to remember that this case is opposite the other cases. So usually we would look for unsolved pieces and put it faced us on our right side. But if we do it like that, it won't work. So we have to have unsolved piece on our left side this time. Once we get it on our left side, we do the same algorithm. And now we have one of them, so we put it in the bottom left and do it again. And now we're done. So you may be presented with this case where we have headlights here because these are two of the same color pieces and they're faced us, so we call those headlights. So we have a pair of headlights and then no pair of headlights. If we have only one pair of headlights and none of them are solved at the top, then we place the headlights to our left and we do the algorithm again. Now we have one, put it in the bottom left and do it again. and now we're done. Now this is the last case that we can be presented with, and this is where we have none of them solved on the top, and we have two sets of headlights. When we have two sets of headlights, we hold the cube to where both of the headlights are faced away from us, and then we do the algorithm again. In which case, it's in the bottom left. And then we're done. So now we're in our last step of solving the 2x2, and the end product will be on the screen. Okay, when we get to this step, there are only two possible scenarios that we can have, and the process of solving both scenarios uses the same algorithm. So the first case is this case where we have two solved pieces, and they could be over here. We know that they're two solved because we have headlights right here, because we have two of the same color, so we call those headlights. And we're going to go ahead and line these headlights up with the rest of the colors, and then we hold these headlights to the left. Once we do that, we're going to do this algorithm: R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. And then the cube will be solved. Now we could also be presented with this case. And if we're presented with this case, we simply just perform the algorithm that we just learned from any position. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. And then we look and we're presented with a different case. Now we have this headlights case. So then we line the headlights up, put the headlights on our left, and we perform the algorithm one more time. And now we're finished. So for this tutorial, I went over certain steps very briefly, and that was because I was just reiterating steps that we had learned in the previous video on my 3x3 tutorial video. So if you had any questions, you can let me know in the comments, or you could check out my 3x3 video and fast forward to the step that you need, and there will be a more thorough explanation. So with that said, I hope y'all have a great night or day, and I'll see y'all in the next one.